presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
Welcome to Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati as Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. 6 months ago, the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds had high hopes for this 2016 season. The Cubs have realized some of their hopes, and the Reds on this day made a major decision regarding next year's Cincinnati Reds club. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day and our whole crew, I'm George Grant. Well, the Reds eliminated one big question for 2017 late this afternoon when they announced that manager Brian Price and his whole coaching staff will be back for 2017. That was news, Chris, that really reverberated throughout the clubhouse and the Reds' story today.
No doubt about it, George. I think the Reds feel like some continuity is in order here, especially after the way that they played in the second half. You know, the only team that's played better than them in the second half as far as raising that winning percentage up is the Atlanta Braves. So they did have a long way to go. Yes, but Brian Price finally has some of the weapons that he can compete with. I mean, like a bullpen that he can go to that is going to have relative consistency. So I think Reds ownership wanted that same consistency to come from the managerial office right on through the coaching staff.
So you don't have to worry about finding a new manager or a coaching staff. You know who's going to be running the show come 2017, and Brian Price is happy for that tonight.
When you go through a rebuild, there's a lot of casualties along the way, and I don't want to be one of those. I want to be the one that survives the rebuild and sees us not just start to turn the corner as we have in the second half of the season, but be here when we're on the other, fully on the other side and challenging for divisions again.
That's the manager this afternoon with a smile on his face. We'll talk more about it as the night progresses. But last night, Brian Price didn't have a smile on his face when the game wrapped up in St. Louis in the bottom of the ninth inning. And, Chris, they're still talking about that, not just in Cincinnati, but around baseball.
Well, there is a strange play overall, and they're talking about the rules of baseball, the ground rules, how they're applied, what the end of the game regulations ought to be. Here's what happened. Yadier Molina comes up and hits a ball on one hop that goes off the signage behind the left field wall. The Reds couldn't really know that at the time. So when the ball comes up here and hits that molottery.com sign, there's about 3 feet of space between a home run wall and that signage wall. So that's dead ball area right there. That should have been a ground rule double, or a rule book double, actually, more technically pronounced. But the umpires slowly walking off the field. You see them to the right of the screen. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are celebrating. They're interviewing Yadier Molina as a hero. Now, Brian Price figures, wait a minute, that maybe that was a ground rule double. And he ran down the runway to try to catch the umpires. Alas, it was too late. The rule book on review does say, and you can look it up in the MLB rules, that an ending play, a game-ending play, has to be protested or immediately. It doesn't say 10 seconds. It doesn't say 30 seconds. It says immediately, and it says that both teams should stay in their dugouts until the review process is over. The Reds did not get to it in time, and that's the reason they ended up losing that game on a play that really should have only been a runner at third base instead of coming around to score.
And the other part of that is during the course of the game, managers do have to let the umpires know within 10 seconds and have to appeal within 30 seconds. And the one thing that this has done, though, it's created a lot of conversation today, and maybe there might be a change and an adjustment of that regulation come next year.
Oh, you're probably right about that, George. The other thing is, you know, by the first thing that managers do before they request a review is they go to the phone and they pick the phone up and they talk to their video guy. Well, Brian Price couldn't hear the phone ring. The crowd in St. Louis was so loud and jubilant that they drowned out whatever ringing and belling was coming out of that phone. And you know, that's what happens sometimes. You put your phone on silent and you miss an important call.
Let's hope Jim Day's phone is not on silent, because JD's coming up next as his pregame show continues. It's the Reds against the Cubs coming up next on Fox Sports Ohio.
Day, indeed, we've reached the final series of the 2016 season. Over the next 3 days, we're going to count you down some of the top moments of the season. Top 10, in fact, and we will start at number 10. Let's take you back to June 15th at Atlanta. Bases loaded, nobody outs. What an athletic play by Tucker Barnhart. Goes out and gets the ball and tags home plate with his glove. Reds got out of that jam, would eventually lose the game, but what a moment. Tucker Barnhart dives into home. Stay tuned. More top moments coming up, and I will say there's a lot of Billy Hamilton flavor over the weekend. It's the Reds and Cubs, the final series. Game 1 of this 3-game set on tap. George Grant and Chris Welch with the call.
Be a washout, but we do have the slight chance for showers this evening. Temperatures will be falling slowly out of the 60s and into the upper 50s by the end of the game. Let's go Reds.
Good form, good swing, ready to play baseball here at Great American Ballpark. The first of 3. There's Joe Madden, 62 years of age, second season as the Cub manager, brilliant career in the minors, and then of course with the Tampa Bay Ball Club. Here's his starting lineup. Dexter Fowler in the leadoff spot. Fowler will lead it off, going against Josh Smith for the Reds. That's a barked out call, strike 1. From Gabe Morales, the home plate umpire. Tom Hallion, the crew chief, is down at first. Chuck Winston is at second. And Dan Bellino's your third base umpire. This is a Cubs team, you know the story. They come in #1 in the National League with the best record in the National League. Dexter Fowler has had a great month of September. He's hit over 350 during the month of September. Now comes in at 998 career hits. 1,000 is the next up on his number. And you know the Cubs story. They've pummeled the Reds with homers this year. That's hit deep to left. The back closing on it is Adam Duvall. He'll squeeze it for the first out. So 1 up, 1 down. Let's take a look at the rest of that Cub lineup with Chris Bryant, MVP candidate, batting in the #2 spot. And oh yeah, Anthony Rizzo's an MVP candidate too. He hits right behind him. Ben Zobrist solid at second. Jason Hayward, who's had a subpar 2016, catching fire of late. Addison Russell, Chris Coughlin over in left, Montero, and Buchanan, the pitcher, bats in the #9 position. That is the starting lineup for Joe Madden. Here's Bryant at 293, 39 homers and 101 knocked in. What a year he's had, Chris. You know, whoever you pick, Bryant, Rizzo, Murphy, I mean, some great candidates for MVP this year.
I think Nolan Arenado has to be in that mix as well. The third baseman from the Colorado Rockies, having a tremendous year. But Bryant may get the nod mainly because of where the Cubs are in the standings and how good they've been all year long. And they've ridden the back of this guy. He's had a lot of home runs, obviously, 39 of them. He's driven in more than 100. And he's played more than just one position in the field. Joe Maddon is one of those managers that views his players as ball players rather than as certain position players. So they move him from third base to the outfield from time to time, and he's a very good defensive player as well.
Well, Bryant digs in. 1 ball and 2 strikes from the Reds right-hander Josh Smith. Smith gets the start today, Chris, on a week where some of the Red starters of the year making their final start as they go towards the final week of the season. For Josh Smith, this has been a bounce back year where he's finally found a place in this bullpen and found a spot where he's helped his Reds pitching staff.
He really relishes the opportunity to start these games. I mean, he looks around and he wonders with bewilderment, no one else wants to start? I'll take it, because what you do at the big leagues during the regular season is far more important than what you do in the month of March down in Arizona.
High in the air to center field. Hernani Rabaran is there. He'll haul it in, second out. Here's the rest of the 4 defensive alignment for Brian Price and the Reds. Adam Duvall's over and left as usual. Irabarren gets a start in center, and Tony Renda is your right fielder. Suarez, Peraza, Ivan De Jesus Jr. at second, and Joey Votto, after getting clipped on the chin with a ball last night and having stitches in it, is back at first, and Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher, behind the plate. The Reds 10th in the league defensively with 102 errors. There's Joey. You see the stitches in the right side of his chin. Could have been a lot worse. He got it on the bottom of the chin, had to leave the game, and he says 6 or 7. He's not sure how many. It is a little sore today, but he's in the lineup. Here's Rizzo, who is too, at 292, 32 homers and 106 knocked in. When you look at this Cubs offense, I mean, average wise, they're about the same as the Reds. The Reds and the Cubs each hitting 256 in terms of average on the season. But the other part of the story is Cubs hit more home runs. They walk a whole lot more. They score more runs. Hop foul and out of play.
Well, the other thing they do is that they have a real fine balanced lineup as far as right-handers and left-handers. So, you know, take for instance the Milwaukee Brewers, that they've only got a couple left-handers at the very top of the order. Last night the Cardinals against Dan Straley only played 1 lefty at the top of the order. The Cubs have switch hitters, left-handers, right-handers. A lot of them can go deep when you make a bad pitch to them.
Popped into center field. 3 fly ball outs in the first. 1, 2, 3. Josh Smith will take that. Reds go to work. Peraza will lead it off when we return. Overcast, and that's the way it was most of the day today, but the sun even peeked through late in the afternoon, and we're ready to play baseball here as we go to the bottom of the first. Let's check Brian Price's starting lineup. Jose Peraza back in the leadoff spot. Ira Barron will bat second tonight, and Joey Votto in at 324 will hit third. Adam Duvall, what a year. 33 homers, 103 knocked in the cleanup spot. Suarez, Ivan De Jesus Jr. with Phillips still out of the lineup. He'll hit 6. Barnhart, Renda, and then the pitcher Smith bats in the number 9 position. And here is Peraza facing an emergency starter, Chris, and you'd look at it two ways. Number one, Joe Maddon said when they clinched that he was going to bounce the bullpen around and move some people around, but he did not expect to be coming up with a starter tonight.
Well, you're right about that, but it's probably going to boil down to being a bullpen game for the Cubs anyway. Buchanan was a starter in the minor leagues. He's 27 years old, came up with the Houston Astros organization when they drafted him out of North Carolina State. You see the 22 starts that he had for the Cubbies down in AAA. But he hasn't pitched but only one time since his call up in the very beginning of September, so you can't figure that he will be out there too much. Of course, the Reds may have a word to say about that as if they can get on him early.
There's Dave Martinez, former Cincinnati Red, his bench coach for Joe Maddon. There's a bouncer over the mound. They'll have to hustle. Addison Russell coming over, and they'll get him by half a step. Nice play by Russell. And there's one away here in the first. This is a Cubs team statistically right about the same as the Reds in the middle of the pack, but they're a much improved defensive team than they've been in recent years, Chris.
Addison Russell is about as athletic as Jose Peraza, and it takes a very athletic, speedy shortstop to charge this ball that hard. Peraza runs very well down the line, and you can see how quickly Russell was able to get that play done.
Here's your 9, the leading hitter in the International League with Louisville this year. Steps in with no homers, no runs knocked in, and at 308 since coming up in the first week of September. And we still got the stopwatch on him, Chris, still looking for a free pass. 1 ball, 1 strike. They'll play him straight away. The Cubs, one of those teams that does not shift quite as much as many other teams in the National League. Votto on deck. That's through on the left side, a base hit.
Well, I think that's why you don't shift on Ira Barron. You know, he's 32 years old. He just had his best year as a professional player this year. And one reason why he does, he stays behind the baseball when he puts a bat on it. Look at him really getting his head down there to go that way. The only way you're going to hit a pitcher's pitch on the knees on the outside corner is get your head down there. If you pull off the ball at all, you're going to roll over and have an easy grounder.
Not a lot of speed down at first in Ira Barron, and here's Joey at 324, 28 homers and 92 knocked in. I guess neither one of us is surprised that Votto's in the lineup after that ball caromed off his chin last night, Chris. This one blooped into left. Coughlin is there. He'll haul it in, and there's 2 away.
Well, Votto realizes that he's on some kind of a roll right now. He prepares hard every day. He works hard every night. Here's what happened to him. The ball gets underneath the glove of Jed Jerko and bounces on 1 hop right off the chin of Joey Votto. You can see the blood dripping out right there. Tomas Vera, Steve Bauman tried to come out, and they tried to, close pin or knock butterfly that thing together, and unable to do so. And he needed stitches, and hey, right back in the ball game.
Took a shot, still in there. So 2 away, runner still on, and here's Adam Duvall. 244, 33 homers, and now 103 knocked in for the season.
You look around the stands here, George, and this looks kind of like a Cubs home game. I mean, there is so much blue in this ballpark tonight, reminiscent of years past when the Reds weren't going so well, and then the Cubs were on their way to the postseason quite a few years ago. The Cubs have used the other teams in the division this year, with the exception of the Cardinals, as their personal whipping teams. I mean, they have completely dominated the Brewers. They've completely dominated the Pittsburgh Pirates, and pretty much so the Reds. They took 3 of 3 the last time the Reds went through the Windy City on the first leg of their recent road trip that just ended yesterday.
They're 13-3 against the Reds this year, and in interleague 15-5. Joe Maddon has along with Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer, has put together a team that's been the best in the National League from start to finish.
All right, so that stat tells you one thing about how they've dominated the teams inside of the division. But when you start looking out at what the Cubs have done elsewhere, what have they done against these other winning teams, these teams that are going to the playoffs in other divisions? Then it's not so dominant at all. And I think the trick now for Joe Maddon is to try to keep his team, you know, healthy, playing baseball, but at the same time close enough to that switch. So when they need to turn it on for postseason, they can do it.
That's a call, strike 3. Reds get a base runner, nothing to show for it in the first. To the second we go. Ben Zobrist will lead it off. By the River, Great American Ballpark. Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio is being brought to you by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? Hey, it's Skyline time. Here we go to the top of the second. George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, and our whole crew here at Great American Ballpark. Final series of the season. Cubs in for 3. And here's Ben Zobrist, the second baseman, hitting in the cleanup spot tonight. And it's probably apropos because wherever you put him in the lineup, wherever you put him in the field, Chris, he's a contributor, and he's really what exemplifies Joe Maddon type baseball. He puts the team first, has always done that in the American League at Tampa Bay, wherever he's been, and still doing it here in Chicago. And he comes in at 269, 15 homers, 72 knocked in. We talk about the Cubs walking a lot more than the Reds. This guy's the poster child for that. In the top 5 all year, 95 walks on the season. He'll see a lot of pitches and make you throw.
Well, he was like the missing piece for the Cubs. They had so many young players with great talent, tremendous upside. You needed somebody to kind of bring them back down to earth a little bit and just be a good ball player. Zobrist was that guy. Originally signed to be like a super sub, play everywhere, and he can play everywhere. He settled in pretty much at second base and has done just a tremendous job for him. And very unusual, really, number 4 hitter in the lineup, considering the guys in front of him have hit 30+ home runs. Zobrist is nowhere means a home run hitter, but yet here he is in the cleanup spot.
Votto has it, and there's one away. Chris Bryant really spoke to that before the game today around the batting cage. He said, you know, what Joe has done this year is let everybody know that the team comes first, whether that's where you're playing or where you're hitting in the lineup. So, you know, some teams, you know where you're going the night before and 2 days before. You know where you're going to hit in the batting order. You know where you're going to field. He said they all have bought into it, and that's the way that guy has run his ship, whether he was in the minor leagues for 12 years, whether he was as a bench coach and a manager in Anaheim or with Tampa Bay and now with the Cubs. He's put the team first.
Well, if you do that with young players on their way up, they'll know no other way. Sometimes you get into a situation where you know, maybe your team is losing and the only thing really to play for is your own individual stats. Well, then you get kind of clouded on years when you should be playing as a team but don't really know how to do it. I think the Cubs are in a unique situation in that respect.
2 balls, no strikes. Big swing from Jason Hayward, popped up in the infield. Who'll take charge? Votto will. And that's been the story of his month of September. He's been around 200. He comes in at 230. But remember, Jason Hayward in years past has carried a team when he was with the Atlanta Braves. They're hopeful that come October in postseason baseball that he'll catch fire and ignite this offense. If he does, this is a lethal offense in the postseason. 2 away, and here's Addison Russell. A lot of players on this Cubs team have contributed to a season where they right now have 101 victories. And they're running away in the Central Division. And everybody's had a bit in that play. And this guy is one of them too. He's done all the little things you want from your shortstop. He's been solid defensively. And offensively, he steps in with 21 homers and 94 knocked in. Now, you mentioned Zobrist. Ben was certainly a key factor. Rizzo's matured at first. Bryant's been solid as a rookie and now a second-year player is outstanding. There's a liner to center. Here Barron has it. 6 up, 6 down for Josh Smith. So far, so good. Eugenio Suarez leads it off. Check your Ford defensive alignment for the Cubs. They come in 8th in the league defensively. They've committed 100 miscues. That's 2 less than the Reds. Coughlin solid defensively. Fowler in center. And Hayward over and right. Great arm. Bryant's been outstanding at third. Russell, Zobrist, a double play combo. And Rizzo down at first. And Miguel Montero's behind the plate with Buchanan on the mound. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Buchanan going to work to Eugenio Suarez in at 248, 20 homers and 66 knocked in. And in his roller coaster year for Eugenio, Chris, the 20 homers certainly a high point for him. He went through a blip on the radar screen during the middle of the year where it seemed like he was committing almost an error a day as he moves from shortstop to third base. And talking to him this week, he said, you know, I've learned a lot about playing third. You think it's easy to move from short to third. If you're a shortstop, you think you can play everywhere, but it takes an adjustment, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And sometimes when you play poorly on defense, you play poorly at the plate because you're taking your defense to the dish with you.
There's Ivan De Jesus Jr. Gotten a chance to play more of late. with the injuries that the Reds have had. Now, two of the key Reds players not in the lineup as we head towards the last weekend of the season. At short, Zach Cozart on the disabled list, and of course Billy Hamilton, two guys who are so critical in the Reds' better second half. And the hope, of course, is that they're 100% ready to go come March and spring training.
Well, you know, Skip Schumacher used to say, and Skip was, of course, a backup player, backup infielder, backup outfielder, emergency catcher. And he used to say, if you see me playing too much, we're not having a good year. And I think the same thing can be said for Ivan De Jesus. Not to take anything away from his talent, but he's on this ball club really to be a backup player, to be put in here and there, to give some guys a rest, take up over an injury. But when you see him in the lineup on a daily basis, it means your front line guys are injured.
Well, this guy at the plate, there's Zach, and between the Achilles and the knee, he's hopeful of being 100% come next spring. Now you watch him at the plate, and if you close your eyes, those of you older Reds fans, it's almost like watching his dad, isn't it? I mean, the same little mannerisms and movements. His dad, an outstanding ball player for the Chicago Cubs, among other teams, and apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?
You know, I asked Ivan Jr. to compare himself with his dad, and he said, you know, my dad was a better fielder. I'm a better hitter.
You didn't ask your dad.
I didn't ask his dad. No. I probably would have got the exact same answer from his dad.
You're right. He didn't have anybody that roots harder for him than his dad. Great family, so well respected within the game of baseball and without. Still lives in Puerto Rico in the Dorado area. Family legendary, and he still gives back to the community. Full count 3-2 to Ivan. Homer and 20 knocked in on the season. That's down low for a ball. So the Reds get their second base runner, and the switch hitting Tucker Barnhart will come to the plate. By the way, Jesse, this is the moment of the night that you always look forward to. If a Reds home run hits a Toyota sign during tonight's game, Diana Carter from Cincinnati will win, yes, Jesse's favorite car. He may drive up there and steal it before the weekend is over. The Tundra on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Jesse, you have a tear in your eye as you're realizing that car is going to be gone. There's Barnhart at 259, 7 homers and 49 knocked in. We thought we had the mosquitoes and the moss in Milwaukee. There are more here tonight than were there. I don't know where they're coming from tonight. Missing 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, you know what they say, George, the fish don't bite unless the mosquitoes bite first.
Amen. You're going to try to pull some out of the river tonight?
I may watch the fireworks go into the river after the ball game tonight. I believe this is a fireworks Friday, right?
Last one. Last one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Best fireworks in baseball, and fans will hang around for that after tonight's game. Crowd continuing to file in. Yes, there are a lot of Cubs fans that have come down here. Many of them bought tickets early, hoping that the Cubs might clinch here. That's a bouncer foul down the first base line. I think the most frustrating time for the Reds, remember that era you talked about when the Cubs were in first place? Remember the year Sammy Sosa had the big home run year and he was going for the home run record?
He was bigger than life.
Yep, literally and figuratively. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Short lead down at first. Buchanan to the stretch. Check swing. It is hitting dirt, so they'll go to second for 1. Not in time at first. For a while it looked like Bryant might dive for that and catch it in the air. If he did, he probably would have had a double play. As it was, he got the force at second just barely.
You know, we saw the very end of it right there, but you're right, and that ball hung up just long enough, I think, for him to maybe have a chance to think about that for a second. And he finally decided to take the sure out. And that was at second base.
Wherever they played Bryant, he's been solid defensively. Outstanding athlete. And just a positive force on this ball club, not just with his bat. Here's Tony Renda. That's in there for a strike. No homers, 2 knocked in. Not big in size, 5'8", about 175 pounds. Made his debut with the Reds in August of this year. But as some of his minor league coaches said, he plays bigger than his body. He sure does. He bursts with energy, and the Reds have added some energy players this year. Holt's one, Renda's another. Oh, and 2. Breaking ball wide, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Leaving it up 2-2. Buchanan had 24 appearances at AAA this year. 22 of them start. So when he came up here, he came up really as the long man. But as you mentioned, Chris, he's only appeared in 1 game. So if you're going to pick somebody that would be the ideal emergency starter, he's it.
Well, again, you know, relishing a chance to pitch for the Chicago Cubs. Doubtful he'll be on the postseason roster. In fact, he won't be eligible unless there's some disabled list moves. So, but he gets a chance to pitch right here, and being called up and being part of this ball club with the excitement that's going on in Chicago, it's something that, you know, he'll remember for a long time. He's 27 years old, so he certainly isn't washed up by any means.
You talked about matchups when you get to the postseason and how the Cubs have feasted on certainly the Central Division and in Italy. But the one thing about postseason baseball, you can restructure your roster for each round of the postseason. So what you may need for one series, you may not need for another. That's chopped down to third. 5-4 is your fielder's choice. Reds strand another runner. They've stranded 2 through 2. Coughlin will lead it off. for serious injuries. Talk about it, from 100 losses to 100 wins in 4 years or less. You remember the Mets, they were the poster child for it, with a 122 loss season in 1965 and then 101 win season in 1969. The Indians leading up to that marvelous 95 season. And how about the Cubs, Chris, from 2012 to 2016? What a turnaround.
Well, a turnaround, there's no doubt about it. And part of that turnaround was rewarded with a big-time extension to his contract. Their president of baseball operations, Theo Epstein, evidently has signed or is close to signing a deal that will pay him close to $50 million over a 5-year span to head up this ball club. Some of his people, his assistants right below him, general manager and so on, have also received extensions. So the Cubs are not only trying to tie up their everyday players and pitchers to long-term deals, they've done that with the front office.
So the rising tide raises the water for everybody, huh?
Yeah.
Well, you know, Robert's sitting next to us doing some stats for us tonight. Here's a big swing from Chris Coughlin.
Well, he's next.
Well, we have to tell him a story. In 1995, when Theo Epstein was in law school in San Diego, the University of San Diego. When Chris and I did the games in '95 and Larry Lucchino was the president, who did stats for us? Theo Epstein. So you could be next.
Well, he learned a lot from us that weekend, didn't he?
He still denies that, though, doesn't he? Theo's had a remarkable career from that beginning in '95. Even before that, there's a big swing down the left field line by Miguel Montero. Duval is there, and quickly there's 2 away. Fly ball out kind of night, huh?
You know, you go back to that time when Theo Epstein got his first break with the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox actually tried to hire Billy Beane, who was with the Oakland A's at that time, and they were unable to get Beane, so that's opened the door for Epstein to move in, and here he is in Chicago.
Well, he was also, when Larry Lucchino was in Baltimore, he was with Larry Lucchino as an intern in Baltimore and then went to San Diego, and Larry went to San Diego. And as they say, the rest is history. 9 years in Boston, 2 World Series in 2004 and 2007. And he's hoping to get to a World Series here in 2016 with the Cubs.
Well, does that send shudders through other front offices and ownership groups to see a president of baseball operations making the kind of, it's ball player money. I mean, it's what you'd pay a second line starting pitcher. That's new ground there.
2 away. Here's Buchanan. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1, but so far through 3. 6 fly ball outs for Josh Smith.
On Fox Sports Ohio. I'm Jim Day. All weekend long, we're going to bring you top 10 moments of the season. We gave you number 10 in the game open. Now, number 9, Tyler Holt had one of the best outings on the mound of the season. Indeed, the utility player, August 22nd versus the Dodgers in a blowout game, had to pitch the 9th inning. And boy, was he impressive. A 1-2-3 inning. Made it look easy. A couple knuckleballs up there. A day he'll never remember or forget.
That was
but
good.
Brian
JD.
Price said, you know what? Everyone dreams of pitching in the big leagues. He didn't get to do it, but Tyler Holt did.
Well, he got the baseball and he took it with him, didn't he?
Indeed he did.
Hey, JD, you know, we've been talking. Here's Josh Smith digging in at the plate to lead it off for the Reds, bottom of 3. We've talked about during the pregame show and, of course, in the open tonight about the final play last night. Now, you were in the middle of all of that, down by the dugout. There's a ground ball down to second. Zobrist has it, and there's one away. Take us through what you saw developing last night in St. Louis.
Well, it was chaos, and, you know, there's no way that they could have heard the phone ringing for the replay man. And then all of a sudden, Julio Murillo, who is the translator for the Reds, who also helps out in the video department, came running up the stairs and tells Brian Price, hey, I think that was a ground rule double. So Brian hustles out of the dugout. Umpires are gone. He goes chasing them down. Now, we were all looking in the tunnel to see if Brian Price was going to come back, and he made his way back through the front of the clubhouse, up the stairs, and pulled the team off the field. But it was complete chaos. Everyone was confused about the play. And Brian had a lot to say about it today. And he hopes that this, like you guys were talking about, it leads to rule changes, because it does seem one thing he pointed out, you know, you had 4 umpires at field level that didn't see it bounce out of play, particularly the third base umpire who was halfway out there. He said, if he doesn't see it immediately, how are we supposed to in a sunk-in dugout?
Yeah, and I think the point that we talked about too, Chris, was that, you know, the game's over, so there shouldn't necessarily be a time limit on if you can find something that is relevant to a play. The important thing is get the play right. There's a liner into right. Hayward is there. Peraza lines out, 2 away.
Well, George, think of what the review process now has conditioned managers to do on a tight play. The first thing every manager does on a tight play, he goes to the top step and turns around and looks at the phone. He's waiting for the phone to ring from the video guy to get the answer. And that's what Brian, I mean, this is nothing against Brian Price. Every manager does the same thing. But instead of kind of getting involved in the game yourself, you're relying on instant replay of your own video guy in order to give you direction on what to do. And you know, that's one of the flaws of the whole process as well.
And the whole concept of instant replay is to, in the end, get the play right. Well, hopefully they'll extend that end of game scenario as they
that'll be
tweak
very easy to do. Right now, what the rule book says is that if the play ends a game, you have to protest it immediately. And when you protest it, then both teams are supposed to stay in the dugout, and then they'll have a review process. Yeah, he caught it. Put it in your pocket. Take it with you.
Line drive caught in the air by Buchanan. Reds go 1, 2, 3. Top of the order due up as we go to the 4th. greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. We talked about the powerful lineup that this Cubs team has. The run differential for those teams with the best records, the Cubs a plus 248 run differential. The Rangers with 94 wins plus 11. The Nationals outstandingly offensively at 150 plus 150. And the Red Sox, the #1 offensive team in the American League, at 184. Now the next question is, as Dexter Fowler steps into the batter's box, how will that translate to the postseason? I think, you know, most traditional baseball people believe that you get to the postseason, pitching beats hitting, and you got more 2-1, 3-2 games than you have 10-8 games.
Well, with all the days off in the postseason, you never see really a #4 starter. You never see a #5 starter. In fact, the 5th starter is usually left off the roster. And it's at the first sign of trouble in the 4th or 5th inning, you know, you're going to your bullpen and you're bringing in one of your, you know, your normal during the regular season 7th or 8th inning setup guys, because you're playing every game to win. That's why there's so many low-scoring games, and that's why the home run ball is oftentimes so important in these postseason games. Pitcher makes one mistake, and he hits a 2-run home run, and that's all the scoring you get sometimes.
You saw John Lackey and Jake Arrieta, 2 power pitchers that certainly, when you go to a postseason, you know you got big bullets in your gun. There's another fly ball. This went into short left field. Duval comes in, got it. Another fly ball out, one away here in the top of the 4th, bringing up Chris Bryant. Hey, Reds fans, catch all the action tomorrow for as low as $13 when your Redlegs take on the Cubs. Thanks to Butterbee's American Grill, the first 25,000 fans will receive a Team Cincinnati t-shirt. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Here's Bryant. Fly ball to center, first time up. Chris Bryant, a Golden Spikes winner, outstanding amateur baseball player, part of USA Baseball throughout his high school years into college. And he's one who's elated over the fact that baseball is back in the Olympics. He certainly is one who hopes to be a part of the WBC, which involves major league players, and the Olympics will involve 40-man roster players, not necessarily major leaguers, but those on the 40-man roster that are in the minor leagues. He said, you know, the most enjoyable time I had was playing for Team USA and being a part of the Golden Spikes, because it was about team. He said, and that's what Joe Madden's done for us here. It's about team again. It's not about individual accomplishments. Just missing on the outside corner is Josh. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, a guy that certainly is dangerous at the plate is Bryant, but he's also a guy that will provide a lot of cool breeze to Chicago fans. He'll strike out a couple of 100 times a year.
I guess
a lot of whiffing going on.
I guess that's not a number that they really care about that much anymore, huh?
No, they don't.
Center field, another fly ball out. 3 fly ball outs in the first, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, and there's 2 more here in the 4th. Keep it into the ballpark is Josh Smith. Here's Rizzo, fly to center to end the first.
This is the kind of outing that if you're Josh Smith, you leap ahead, way ahead of other pitchers that are in that same category of being the 11th or the 12th pitcher on the ball club. And you know, those guys are always the ones that teams are trying to replace. They're always the ones that they're trying to bring in somebody that throws harder or can give you a little bit more upside. Smith was a starter last year. He started, I think, 7 or so games and didn't really fare that well, but he's adjusted to big league life now, and he's been a very valuable part of this bullpen. And he's making, you know, a real good name for himself by coming out and pitching the way he has, even in what looks like a meaningless game. Throwing strikes, coming right after him, and putting up zeros on the board.
9 fly ball outs through 4, still scoreless in Cincinnati.
grabs on MLB's final Saturday of the regular season. Catch either the Cardinals and the Pirates or the Mets and Phillies at 12:30 Eastern, or watch the game live on Fox Sports Go. Joey Votto steps in for the Reds. Now, this is a classic Joey Votto story. You saw the video earlier where he took one off the chin. 7 stitches last night to close the wound. Brian Price says he got a text message from Joey at 3 a.m. saying, "Skip, I'm fine to play tomorrow. So when you get up and you make out that lineup, put me in it." Now, Brian Price says he was asleep. His wife, on the other hand, might just have been awakened by it. I'm sure it went over 100% well in the Price household, but that is classic Joey Votto right there.
It is classic, isn't it? I mean, a guy that you look at, and Chris, I remember the Reds 2010 go to the postseason. 2011, everything went south in the second half. I remember sitting with him in Pittsburgh the last week of the season. Here's the 1-1. That misses 2 balls and a strike. He said, you know, the toughest thing in baseball is not being in it in September. And what he's had to do in the second half is just do his job, work as hard as he can to be as good as he can when a team does not have a chance to make it to the postseason. And that's the professional hitter that he is.
Well, I mean, he's got personal goals, I think, that other people would like to have, but there's no way that they're going to attain them. He's on track to set a Reds record for batting average in half a season at .410. I mean, you're in the likes of Sean Casey a couple of times, who batted right around .370 for a half a season. Pete Rose was there at .370. Even Bip Roberts back in 1992 second half batted right around .370. Votto's up around .410.
Yeah, the one thing, remember '99 when Casey hit over .370, he was in the middle of a pennant race and the energy was flowing. And in this year, that energy started with Joey and ends with Joey. One away, he bounces out. Here comes Adam Duvall, who struck out looking in the first inning. And if you joined us late, the big news at the ballpark tonight is that the Reds announced that Brian Price will be back and the whole coaching staff will be back in 2017, signing a 1-year deal with a team option for 2018. So that question is erased from the bullet board of the postseason. Jim Riggleman and the rest of his staff will be back in 2017. Strike 1 delivery in the dirt, 1-1. By the way, I heard, Chris, earlier tonight that there was a sighting here at the ballpark that even with the Ryder Cup on, that Tom Browning did not make it to the Ryder Cup matches. He is in the ballpark tonight.
Well, you know what? Anytime he's in the ballpark, he's checking out the pitching. I can guarantee you that.
Are you checking out the Ryder Cup too?
Oh, yeah.
Off to a 4-0 lead after the morning matches. How do we do in the afternoon?
That didn't last. I think the Europeans came back and won 3 in the afternoon. So it's
now. I mean, you're a big golfer. You and Jesse Jackson. Jesse, of course, just now getting to appreciate the game of golf at this stage of his life. But
he enjoys the 19th hole, I think, more than anybody I've ever met.
Oh, he likes the replay, the video replays. I know, fouled off, but you know, people don't understand the difference. I mean, Ryder Cup golf is different than any other kind of golf.
It's team golf. I mean, normally when you're out there, you're not used to people booing you when you make a putt or cheering when you miss a putt. And that's what the Europeans are finding when they're playing. Of course, the Ryder Cup is up in Hazeltine, up in Minnesota, Minneapolis area, Minnesota. And there's obviously the majority is a pro-USA crowd. So anytime the Europeans do something bad, there's a lot of cheering going on.
Now, in tennis, people hate that. And in golf, generally speaking, people hate it. But if you've ever been to the Ryder Cup, you know how infectious it can be. It's different.
Everybody who's ever been says it's a great experience, not only as a player, but I mean as a viewer, as a fan up there.
Fouled off and held on to by the catcher Montero. That's 2 strikeouts for Buchanan. So both pitchers, so far so good. Buchanan now has allowed a base hit to Ira Barron in the first inning and then a walk in the second inning, and that's the only blemish he has. And so far for Josh Smith, zip, zip, zip through 4. 2 away, and here's Suarez. Pop to the second baseman first time up. Trying to give the Reds a 1-0 lead with that swing, and it's 0-2. Ivan De Jesus Jr. on deck. This game 1 of the 3-game series. Tomorrow, Tim Adelman will face a Cy Young candidate, John Lester. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts. 1-2-3 for the Reds. Heading to the 5th, scoreless. Good fly ball kind of night, Chris, for Josh Smith.
Well, Smith is just coming right in there. You know, one thing he's able to do is to throw the ball, both his breaking pitch and his fastball, on the first base side of home plate. And the Cubs are, you know, I can't say they're grinding out the at-bats. They're normally a team that can be very patient, but they're up there hacking tonight. But Smith has given them things to hit, and they're just not making good contact. 10 of his outs have come with that nice easy fly ball. It's really no great plays defensively. Nobody's hit the ball to the wall. It's been a nice outing so far. 9
fly balls, 1 pop-up, 10 ball that were outs in the air. Here's Ben Zobrist, bounced to first his first time up. And of anybody in this lineup, you'd expect him to get the ball on the ground. Everybody talks about the mechanics of pitching and the mechanics of hitting. Some hitters use a step, some hitters use a cocking motion. Zobrist has found that the comfortable thing for him is to get his hands in motion and get a rhythm and get them back in hitting position. And no matter what he does before the pitch is delivered, if you look at that last instant, they're back and ready to go.
Yeah, there are very few hitters that start their swing from just a full stop. Everybody's got a little rhythm going, a little movement going.
That's movement to right, going way back, and it is gone. Ben Zobrist, 16th homer of the season off Josh Smith. First hit for the Cubs, and they lead it 1-0 here in the top of 5.
Well, what an easy swing for Zobrist. I mean, it looks very effortless. He just kind of got out ahead of that pitch and pulled it. Let Smith supply the height and the power. Looks like a little slider that just kind of rolls right on up there. They call that a cement mixer.
Deposited in the right field seats, 1-0. 16 homers, 73 knocked in now for tonight's second baseman for the Cubs. And here's Hayward. Jason popped up to Votto first time up. And we talked about it in team history against any single opponent in a season. Who has the record? 38th against the Reds this year. Joe Maddon's club has it.
Well, you really can't blame Zobrist. That was only the fourth home run that he's hit against the Reds. I think that the big culprit is Bryant. Ouch.
Smith flat-footed will throw out Hayward, and there's one away.
You know, that's a really good at bat by Smith. He comes right inside on Jason Hayward. Hayward is getting himself out. You mentioned his first time up when he popped it up to the first baseman. I mean, he's got such a big swing. You see him trying to swing down on everything to make sure he doesn't pop stuff up. And you got to get him in there. And if you get it in there, he'll get himself out more often than not. This year especially, having a very tough go of it. But even though he hit it like that, I mean, still busting it down the line. That shows me something about a Cubs player. End of the year, meaningless game, running hard like that. That's a good sign.
Addison Russell pops it up behind short. De Jesus is there, and right behind him, Peraza is there rather. Right behind him is Iribarren, and Iribarren slipped as he was coming in. Just fell flat on his face. Fortunately, it was the shortstop Peraza who went back to make the play. 2 away. You can laugh about it now, huh? Thank you. Remember, you used to call Lonnie Smith skates?
Well, he was slipping and sliding on AstroTurf
in Philly.
You know, when it gets a little cool here in the fall, in the evenings, the grass gets a little bit wet and gets very slippery out there.
Here's Coughlin, fly to center first time up. Another fly ball. This will stay in the park. Iribarren is there. Got it. Leadoff homer by Zobrist. 1-0. Cubs lead it. .com/postseason for a full schedule, and the full schedule for tonight involving teams that are in the postseason hunt. New York and Philadelphia. The Mets are leading 2-1 in the bottom of the 4th inning. And Chris, we talked about it at the beginning of September. I think we both agreed who had the best chance in the wild card hunt in the National League, and it was the Mets because of their schedule. And it's really, even with the injuries they've had and everything that's gone wrong, it's panned out that way so far.
Some people really ought to consider Terry Collins for Manager of the Year, trying to keep that together in New York. When you have a bad year there, they run you out of town. and all the injuries that they've had. You know, the interesting thing of all that very, I don't know, stylish rotation that they had, glamorous rotation of these super hard throwers, and one by one they're going down on the disabled list. The one constant that they've had is Bartolo Colon. Amazing what he has done this year at age 43. Really kept that starting pitching staff together in New York.
And if they make it to the postseason, if they have a wild card game, you know, the question will be, I mean, one of them, either Bartolo Colon or Syndergaard, will have to start one or the other. So a 43-year-old Bartolo Colon could pitch the first game of postseason baseball for the Mets, when you really looked at him as a fifth starter when the year began. One by one, Mets starters have gone down. Here's Ivan. He walked in the second inning. Reds trailing 1-0 on the Ben Zobrist home run. Bouncer back through the middle. So on base twice is Ivan de Jesus Jr. And that'll bring up Barnhart, the catcher. You know, you talk about Terry Collins. He, of course, led the Mets to the postseason last year. And it was Terry Collins who was the manager in Anaheim when Joe Maddon was there. And Collins got fired. He took over for him. That might have been the low point for Terry Collins in his career. Collins bounced back, became an outstanding major league manager. Joe Maddon, of course, went on to Tampa Bay to become a brilliant manager, and now in Chicago on the precipice of going to the postseason. Barnhart fouls it off. And I tell you, the guy sitting next to him, you make a list of players, former players, and now coaches who deserve a shot at managing. I think most guys who know him would put Dave Martinez on that list. He's bright. He's a good communicator. And he is right alongside of Joe Maddon once again. He was his bench coach in Tampa Bay. And Joe said, go for a job. And they held the job for him. And he interviewed for a couple of positions, came close, didn't get it. And here he is back next to Joe Maddon on the bench. Barnhart high in the air to center field. Fowler under it. One away. Hey, Reds fans, catch all the action Sunday when your Reds take on the Cubs for as low as $13. Thanks to Delta Airlines. Fans in attendance will receive a 2016 team photo. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Here's Tony Renda, bounced out first time up. One out, one on for the Reds with Josh Smith on deck. Five, 4, 3 double play. Base runner erased for the Reds. Going to the 6th in Cincinnati. 1-0 Cubs. Ford go further, and by Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. Great to have you with us at Great American Ballpark. Final 3 games of the season. The Reds ending the season at home. The Reds come in 37-41, so they can't finish at 500 for the regular season. Hey, well, who is here, Chris?
He's not sitting on the first edge next to the wall, is he?
The nemesis. I see you. I see you. Where's the Billy Goat?
Where's Moises Alou when you need him?
Yeah. I'm Steve Bartman. You're the Billy Goat. Here's Miguel Montero to lead it off as we go to the 6th. Yeah, Joe Maddon really, first when he took over as manager before last year, then in spring training this year when everybody put pressure on the Cubs that they were going to be the team to beat, he said, look, we don't know anything about 1908 or 1946 or 1985. All we know is we are this team in 2016. And not only did he sell that message outside the clubhouse, inside the clubhouse, he preached that message day in and day out. Do the little things. Number 1, put the team first. Number 2, do the simple things. In other words, play defense, be smart, be a good teammate. All the little things that took away the big picture. And when you take away the big picture, think of the small picture. Sometimes things end up pretty good, as they have for the Cubs. Big swing for a strike, 2-2.
Well, I think the things that you mentioned, George, that he wasn't just trying to sell those to his team. He really believes them, and he knows that that's really the only way you're going to keep your team from being distracted by all the noise that follows the Cubs around, or that follows a winning team around. But this year, the pressure that will be on the Cubs in the postseason, because, you know, they were in the postseason last year. They got beat by the Mets. But this year, the expectations are way different. There are people that already have them you know, sizing up for their World Series rings. And they're going to have to beat some pretty good pitchers along the way to do that.
A line drive into center, a base hit. So the leadoff hitter on here in the 6th inning, and that'll bring up the pitcher Buchanan.
You know, Montero's not had a great year. They signed him, Theo Epstein did. They thought that he would be much better player than he's turned out to be. And they're going to stay with him. Here's another slider that just kind of hangs right there. Montero goes out and puts a good level swing on it. But they'll carry 3 catchers into the postseason, the Cubs will. Of course, David Ross and Montero will get the bulk of the catching. Wilson Contreras is a young catcher that will probably still be on this roster. There's Grandpa Rossi.
So Jake Buchanan will be pinch hit for by Tommy La Stella, and we told you at the start tonight that this will be a bullpen game as Joe Maddon describes it. So La Stella will pinch hit in the 9th spot. Good effort by Buchanan. 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk, no runs allowed. You can't do much better than he did in this spot start. From the stretch is Josh Smith. Right field. Renda coming in and can't get it. It'll bounce past them, and the runners will hold at first and second. Montero had to wait to see if he was going to catch it. When it glanced, it looked like off his glove, and then behind him, he broke for second, but by then it was too late to get to third. So it's first and second with nobody out.
Well, La Stella made headlines earlier this year, back in July, when the Cubs tried to send him down to the minor leagues. Good effort by Renda, just couldn't come up with it. And instead of going down to the minor leagues, down to AAA Iowa, he said, I'm going home. He said, I'd rather play for nobody than not play for the Cubs. So, you know, the Cubs could at that time, they could have turned their back on him and say, listen, you know, we don't think you're good enough to be on this roster right now. And if you're going to go home, we're going to put you on some list and we're going to forget all about you. But that wasn't the case. He really had no animosity for the Cubs. And it took a real special, I guess, approach by Joe Maddon and the Cubs to appreciate where La Stella was coming from. And eventually he came back. He explained to his team what was going on. And here he is back in the big leagues.
And sitting on first, out goes Mac Jenkins to talk to his right-hander. Approaching 60 pitches as we are now in the 6th inning is Josh Smith. Back to the top of the order, Dexter Fowler. So back-to-back singles, first and second. The Reds will keep the middle of the infield double play depth. Two fly balls to left off the bat of Fowler tonight. And speaking of a guy who looked like he was going someplace else, is Dexter Fowler. It looked like he was signed, sealed, and delivered and going to Baltimore. And they haggled back and forth on the contract. And where did he end up? Back with Joe Madden, a place where he really wanted to be at the beginning of the free agent period.
Well, that was a done deal. I mean, this was just like your leadoff hitter and one of your most valuable players just falling into your lap. So, you know, for all the credit that Theo Epstein and his front office has gotten for putting this team together, making some trades over the years. They traded away some pretty good pieces in order to get these young players, but they also had some dumb luck, and they'll be the first to admit that. Just how things just happened to really help them out this year.
Fowler, two fly balls, tough to double up. Good speed. Dexter in at 274 on the season coming into tonight. Trevor Cahill loosening in the bullpen for the Cubs. He'll probably be the next pitcher for Chicago.
I mean, the pitcher on their team that is leading the league in National League earned run average is Kyle Hendricks. Well, Hendricks was a member of the Texas Rangers when the Cubs acquired him, but he wasn't their original guy that they wanted. They had a deal with the Atlanta Braves for Randall Delgado and Ryan Dempster. And this was long before Joe Madden came around. And at the very last minute, they said, well, we can't pull Dempster from the start tonight. We'll sit on the trade until tomorrow. Well, word got out to Dempster that he was being traded. He wakes up the next morning. He's got all these messages on his phone, and he gets angry at the Cubs, says, well, you know, why didn't you tell me? He had full trade veto, and as it turned out, he didn't want to make the trade. So he says, I'm not going to Atlanta. So what he ended up doing, the Cubs now had 10 days to make a deal. At the very last minute, they get the Texas Rangers on the phone. They have a deal to make, and Theo Epstein instructs them, take whatever that guy was recommended. And it turned out to be Kyle Hendricks, and he's leading the league in earned run average this year. So sometimes, you know, it is better to be lucky.
And it sure was in that case. Double switch for Brian Price. Tony Cingrani ready to come in. Price with the home plate umpire, Gabe Morales, and Josh Smith's night will be done. He allowed only the one run, the homer, to lead off the 5th by Ben Zobrist. Here in the 6th, though, 2 base hits and a walk have loaded the bases with no one out. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. great hits on the road trip, and 5 for 5 in one game. Comes into the game in right field on the double switch. And the new pitcher for the Reds will be the lefty Tony Cingrani. So Cingrani will be entered in the 9th spot in the order, and Selski will take over in the 9th spot, or rather Cingrani will enter the 8th spot and Selski will enter the 9th spot. And Chris, you talk about the good and the bad of Tony Cingrani. At one point he nailed down the closer's role with an electric fastball and first pitch strikes, and then he fell on hard times, tough luck, and not much success in first batter efficiency.
Well, this is the toughest situation a pitcher can come into. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Chris Bryant at the plate. Now the thing that Cingrani has going for him, and he drops the first pitch breaking ball. Was that a breaking ball? No, fastball at 96. But you know, he can throw that fastball. He has that weapon where he can go up the ladder with a fastball and strike out 3 in a row. That's the kind of arm that Cingrani has. I'd much rather see him climb the ladder on Bryant. I know they like to keep the ball down on him. He's a guy that his spread his feet out in his stance a little bit over the years. He bends his knees to get down there a little bit more than ever before. But that 4-seam Cingrani fastball is awfully tough to catch up on.
Bounce down to short. 6-4. Not in time to first. A run will score.
Well, that just took forever to end up completing that double play. That was DP lane all the way. And this looked like Peraza stayed back on this ball a little bit and took a long time to get the feed to DeJesus. Yeah, he did just wait back on it. Bryant runs well, and he runs hard.
Bryant beats it by a step down at first. Good job by Votto to take that throw in the dirt and stop it from going into the dugout. So it's 1st and 3rd now, and the Cubs lead it by a score of 2-0 with 1 out. Still double play depth middle of the infield for Rizzo. Rizzo 4 for 18 and 1 homer against Tony Cingrani. Rizzo flat out to center twice. 0 for 2 so far tonight. Cubs not only have produced a lot of runs and a lot of hits, but they've produced with runners in scoring position. That's led. I mean, you look at the Cubs and the Reds are almost even Steven in average, but their production with runners in scoring position as a team better than the Reds, and it's resulted in, coming into tonight, 101 victories on the season. Swing and a miss. He gets out number 2, and the infield can drop back. Strikeout number 1 for Cingrani.
Now this is just what is so intriguing about Cingrani, and I think that, you know, when he started going bad, he started dialing his fastball down around the knees instead of up there. You know, when he was a starter, hitters would chase that pitch time after time after time, and they would just never catch up on it. And for some reason or another, he began to adopt throwing a slider and working the ball down in the zone. I think that was also combined with the fact that he ran into some arm problems. But his strength is up with that 4-seam fastball, and that's where he ought to stick.
Here's Zobrist, bounced out and then homered to lead off the 5th. That's down and away at 95 miles an hour. Zobrist 1 for 5 and a homer against Tony Cingrani. LaStella the pinch hitter at 3rd after he singled, and Bryant beat out the double play ball down at 1st. Big deep breath from the Reds left-hander. And it's nubbed foul.
Yeah, I mean, he's not trying to fool him one bit either. I mean, there's no fork balls being thrown up there, no splitters or sliders and change-ups. I mean, it's just good old-fashioned four-seam fastball. Here it is.
One and two. Hop back, heading to the seats. Barnhart gives chase, but he'll run out of room. And some pitchers, Chris, you'll come in. Greg Maddux would come in, or Tom Glavine at a ball game. It looked like they were another day at the office. They were quiet, intense pitchers. Some thrive off the energy that they bring to the mound. Al Roboski comes to mind, and Tony Cingrani's that kind of a pitcher.
I think some need it more than others. A lot of closers need that high leverage ninth inning atmosphere in order to get the best out of them. That's why a lot of closers get banged around in those little warm-up.
They got him picked. And the runner off third. They'll get him caught between third and home. LaStella, Barnhart running him back, and finally tapped out. Good job by Cingrani. Nice read by Votto. And the Reds end up getting the final out of the inning. What looked like disaster, they give up one run, trailer 2-0.
Produced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
And just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Very pleasant night at the ballpark. Some rain in and around the greater Cincinnati area. Hey, in and around all of the Midwest the last couple of days. But so far so good tonight. Very pleasant. Jake Buchanan started for the Cubs. 5 innings, 2 hits, 3 strikeouts and 1 walk, and no runs allowed. He'll give way to second pitcher of the night, Trevor Cahill. Cahill comes in relief of Buchanan. Josh Smith's line, 5+ innings. He allowed the 3 hits. 2 of them came in the 6th inning. He will be charged with 2 runs. So a good start for Josh Smith. Cingrani, a little bit of zip on the fastball and a good pickoff move, and gets out of the jam after giving up that 1 run. Here's Steve Selski. Chris, we've been going to St. Louis for a lot of years. In fact, the Reds are trying to win a series against St. Louis. Last time we won one, I think we did the games together back in 2011. It was a while ago. But how about the night that Steve Selski had with 5 hits?
It was really amazing and great to watch, too. And I really think that I saw, it was only a fleeting second, but I saw during the interview that he did with Jim Day, he actually smiled. I mean, he's got the nickname Stone Cold for a reason, I guess. Got a good swing, though, for a 33rd round draft pick. He's the kind of kid you want to root for. And that's a nice line drive and even a better grab.
A rocket shot, but Addison Russell hauls it in. That's the kind of swing Steve Selski's been having.
I think he's opened up a lot of eyes. I mean, sometimes you look at minor league hitting statistics, and Selski has some good ones. But you think, well, I mean, who are they really hitting off down in the minor leagues? AA pitchers, AAA pitchers that are washed up or either on their way down. But Selski comes up here very confident at the plate, very quiet at the plate, and he lets that bat head do the talking.
Here's Peraza, bounced out, lined out, 0 for 2. Jose in the leadoff spot. Selski batting in the number 9 position after the double switch. Tonight's IGS bringing the energy feature, most multi-hit games by a rookie in the National League this month, the month of September. Peraza's there. Trey Turner, boy, 2 great young prospects, Turner and Seager. Seager very well could be the rookie of the year in the National League. And of course, Scott Schebler's had an outstanding month as well. And by the way, it looks like Schebler's close to coming back. He may be in the lineup tomorrow. Brian Price saying just before the game that he looked a lot better. This one looped into left. It's going to head towards the corner. He'll have at least 2. It'll rattle around in the corner, and they'll stop at second with a 2-base hit. Another good performance by Peraza, and he likes Cahill in his career. 2 for 2 against Cahill. 1,000. Not bad.
Well, they got a little breaking ball right there and got out ahead of it. And sometimes when you get out of ahead of a breaking ball like this, you know, you don't have to swing all that hard, and it gets jumping right off the bat. Right down the line it goes, barely in fair territory.
So he's sitting at second with a right-hander Cahill keeping a close eye on him. He's in scoring position, and here's Iribarren. He's singled and lined out, 1 for 2.
If you're going to steal third base, this is the time to do it. And Peraza has stolen a lot of bases. He stole 9 in the first half, did not get thrown out. He stole 9 in the second half, but he's been thrown out 10 times, so he's been a little bit more aggressive.
And the word's starting to get around the National League with Peraza and Hamilton together. You know, you look at it, Chris, it's intriguing for next year. If you put them 1-2 in the lineup, that's a great way to start a ball game.
Yeah, unfortunately, with Billy Hamilton's injury, we haven't seen that 1-2 punch very much. That'll be an interesting dynamic. That'll get him the third.
Didn't have to steal it. In the dirt, wild pitch. And to third will be Peraza. The Cubs leading 2-0 will keep the infield back at short and second. At third, Bryant will be a step behind the bag with a left-handed batter at the plate. Bounce down to first. So with 1 out in the inning, they'll give up a run on a normal ground ball to the middle of the infield. Peraza, great speed off third. Billy Hatcher, as usual, in the third base coach's box for the Reds. And Freddie Benavidez down at first. In the dirt, and Peraza will hold. Cahill's got that pitch down pretty good.
I'll tell you, that was a breaking ball with some serious bite on it. I mean, watch everybody turn away from this. Iribarren, even Montero. He was just trying to throw any part of his body in front of that ball to block it.
Right on the chin. That's the way Votto felt after last night, too. Full count, 3-2. Ground ball down to second. That'll get the run in. So Iribarren picks up his first run batted in on the ground ball to second, and the Reds are on the board. It's a 2-1 game. Here comes Joey. Votto flied out, bounced out, 0 for 2. Adam Duvall on deck for Cincinnati.
Cahill's had a pretty good year for the Cubs. He's been in 50 games now. His earned run average is down in the mid-2s. And he's another one of these guys that kind of fell into their laps. He's been all over the place. He's been with the Oakland A's. He's been with Arizona. Been with the Atlanta Braves. He was released last year in the middle of the year by the Dodgers. And he ends up signing a minor league contract with the Iowa Cubs. And then he comes up to the major leagues. And then this year, he's a real important part of their organization. So that's another one of these that just kind of happened. Kind of like Dan Straley happened with the Reds. You know, you got to have some breaks go your way.
Cubs bullpen that's been a thorn in the side of the Cubs. There's a hard shot down to first. Rizzo has it, and that'll take care of Votto. So Joey's 0 for 3, but the Reds get a run, trail 2-1. Zobrist up when we return. We got it for you. Don't miss the special adults only Halloween bash presented by Budweiser. Enjoy an open bar, photo ops in the Reds dugout, games, prizes, and a scheduled appearance by Billy Hamilton as a guest judge for the costume contest. Best costume wins 2017 Reds opening day tickets. Purchase tickets now at reds.com/Halloween. That's a great idea. Jesse, you gonna go to that? Who are you gonna dress as? Chris?
I'm going to dress up as Jesse Jackson, the unreverend.
The unreverend. Here's Ben Zobrist. He was at the plate when Cingrani picked off the runner at first. Votto alertly then picked off the runner at third, and they got him in a rundown. And Listella was tagged out on a 1-3 to 5 to 2 to 6 putout.
Well, it was a smart play by Votto because they didn't want the old first and third steal a run right there, where you get a run scoring before you put the putout between the runner in first and second. I mean, that's got to be the most favorite play of every high school team out there. You get first and third, you send the runner at first, and pretty much there's a run down, and then the guy from third turns around to score.
You know, there's something about Joe Maddon. He is a modern day manager. I mean, he uses a lot of the sabermetrics and the analytics of today, but there's also the throwback nature. There's the Bobby Cox in him too.
Oh.
Always at the top of the dugout. Maddon, veteran, 12 years in the minors, 31 years in the California organization. That's a fair ball down the third base line. All the way into the corner, rounding first, going to second is Zobrist. So he's 2 for 3, a homer and this 2-base hit to lead off the 7th. His homer to lead off the 5th was the first run the Cubs scored.
Well, he showed little ability to get the head going on an inside pitch right there. That ball was right in on his hands.
just past the effort of Suarez. So a leadoff hitter sitting at second in the 7th, and here comes Jason Hayward. Popped out, grounded out.
I thought that ball was going to get Dan Bellino, the umpire. He did a nice little dance to get out of the way of that.
Deep to right center field. At the warning track with room is Selski, and he'll haul it in. Perfect throw to the cutoff man, but easily going from second to third is Zobrist. So a fly ball out from Hayward, one away, runner at third. Russell line to center, popped to short, 0 for 2. Infield in for the Reds, edge of the grass, down to third, and it's a fair ball. That'll get the run in. 2 hops past Suarez. It'll be at least a double. He'll take a big turn around second, but will hold there. So 2 doubles in the inning, and the Cubs got that run back. They lead it 3-1. For Russell, that's his 95th run batted in on the season. He's got a chance for a 100 RBI year.
Well, it's a case where Cingrani is throwing the ball down in the zone. That one caught a lot of the play right there. Russell's got good bat speed, but you know, I go back to the fact where you've got to hit your spot, and I really believe that for Cingrani, that spot is at the upper end of the strike zone, not the lower end of the strike zone.
Here's Chris Coghlan. Flied out twice to center field, 0 for 2. Coghlan's solid defender. At one time, one of the best impact players in the league when he came up in Florida, and then knee trouble sidelined him. And a guy that can play every outfield position, still has some speed. They had planned to use him in a pinch hitting situation. He struggled early in the year, but he's played his best baseball defensively and has been most successful offensively in the last 2 months, hitting over 300. One hopper down to short, backhanded by Peraza across to Votto, and there's your out, second out of the inning.
It's a nice play by Peraza. The ball hit very sharply. He goes down to kind of make sure that he gets in front of that ball with his body anyway. I think he's answering some questions, Peraza is, about his ability to be able to play shortstop if he was asked to do that on an everyday basis next year. Not knowing what the long-term status of, you know, the infield is going to be. Zach Cozart, you know, he was healthy for most of the year this year. Got another young player that the Reds traded for, where they sent away Jay Bruce and Dilson Herrera, a second baseman. I think the managerial decision that the Reds made by bringing back Brian Price for another year, that was just the first of many decisions that this team's going to have to make over the winter.
Yeah, and I think what they also did was eliminate a lot of decisions that they would have had to make if they didn't bring him back. I mean, they got enough on the table right now. At least they know who the manager is going to be, who the coaching staff will be comprised of. Montero swings, fouls it off. But they know who's going to run the show.
And I think what you mean there is, I think people underestimate how big a job it is to go through a whole managerial search.
Oh.
I mean, what kind of guy do you want? Do you want a high-profile guy? Who's available out there? Who would take this team at this point in its process? Do you just want to go hire another guy, a good baseball guy, but necessarily a no-name with no connection to the city or the team? Do you want to bring back a former player or a former coach? Do you bring in an interim type manager? I think all those questions were surrounding the process, and they say, well, you know, let's give Brian Price a little better team and see what happens.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Montero. Fouled off. I mean, the other part of it, Chris, I was with Lou Piniella when his rookie year as a manager in New York with the Yankees.
Ooh.
By his own admission, he struggled. He said, I thought I was ready to manage at the major league level. Until you manage, you don't learn the position. You don't grow in the position. And Brian Price, by his admission, will say, I'm a better manager today than I was 3 years ago. So you've grown, and the Reds have grown with him. So the point is, you've invested 3 years. It's worth it for a new general manager, Dick Williams, and the situation as it unfolds next year with Walt Jocketty moving upstairs. There's Dick. You're looking at a situation where they'll have a chance to work together day in and day out and work closely with each other. Cingrani gets out of the trouble, but after 2 doubles, a run scores, and the Cubs lead at 3-1.
Reds Live, the post-game show, extended highlights, interviews, and more. It's presented by Performance Kings Honda. Our last weekend in the condo. We count you down, top moments of the season. We have reached moment number 8. This guy's about to step into the batter's box. Adam Duvall in this last series in St. Louis. 2 home run night, 5 RBIs on the night, and that 5th one put into the century mark in RBIs in the season. What a breakout season for the pride of Louisville, Adam Duvall.
JD, let's go back to Goodyear, Arizona, back in the month of March, when it looked like it was an open tryout for left field. It looked like Duvall and Schebler would each get a shot, maybe a left-right platoon, and there were other people who are in the mix too. While you look at the numbers, and for Adam Duvall, 33 homers, 103 knocked in. The thing that's amazing is you've been with him day in and day out. He hasn't changed a bit. He's the same guy you saw back then.
Not a bit at all, and he's very soft-spoken, got that little southern twang going on. As nice a guy as you'll meet, terrific with the media, always there to talk, and we've talked about it many times. When he showed up in Goodyear, it was like a different player showed up. He completely changed his swing, shortened it, and man, has it paid off.
There's Joe Smith, the new pitcher, sidewinding right-hander. There's a bouncer down to third. Bryant has it. Throw is high, and they just get him by half a step, and he hustled, doesn't he? And he almost beat that out. Bryant kind of surprised at the speed of Duvall down the line. There's one away.
Well, it helps at the other end to have a big, tall first baseman who can stretch a little bit. Bryant's about 6'5", and Rizzo's about 6'4". By the time he puts that glove up there, he's reaching about 9 feet in the air.
He needed every inch of that, didn't he? Rizzo's been outstanding down at first. I mean, you talk about the wide breadth of his reach. He'll block balls in the dirt. He'll give you an extra foot on that stretch. You talk about Michael Phelps. I mean, he's got the stretch too. Here's Suarez. Struck out swinging last time up.
I wonder if Anthony Rizzo has ever been compared to Michael Phelps before. You may be breaking new ground here, George.
Swing and a miss. He strikes out for the second time. First strikeout for Joe Smith. Well, what a ride for that young man. Originally drafted by Theo Epstein when Theo was the general manager in Boston, and traded in the deal that sent him from Boston to San Diego in the Gonzalez deal that brought Gonzalez to Boston. And when he left, Theo Epstein said, well, you know, we're not forgetting about you. We may meet up again somewhere along the road. And when Jed Hoyer and Theo took over in Chicago, they brought him back, and he has matured as a player. He's become a young leader on this club. And in the middle of all of that, he beat cancer.
Yeah, you're right about that. And George, the Reds connection there is that when he was in San Diego before he was acquired by the Cubs, it was he and Yonder Alonso who were together, and the Padres ended up wanting Alonso. He was a little bit older, further along in his major league development, and that's when they moved Rizzo.
Big swing by Ivan De Jesus Jr. and another single to center. He's 2 for 2 in a walk, so the Reds will bring the tying run to the plate. It's Barnhart here in the 7th. You know, and for Rizzo too, I mean, his initial taste of professional baseball was in the Red Sox organization. It was there that he first had the touches of dealing with cancer. Diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma back in 2008. And it was there also that Theo Epstein introduced him to John Lester, who had just battled cancer in his own right. And he kind of gave him a tutorial, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, how to deal with it. They both beat it, and they're both, as they say, together again here in Chicago and having a great year. Here's Barnhart. Reached on a fielder's choice and flat out 0 for 2.
That's going to fall in there. Oh, no, I thought it was.
Coghlan will haul it in. So the Reds will strand a runner. They've stranded 3 and trail it 3-1. Three runs, 5 hits to the Reds, 1 run and 4 hits. Leadoff home run by Ben Zobrist, his 16th of the year in the 5th. 1-0 Cubs had the lead. The other side of it for the Reds in the 6th inning, a double in the 6th inning by Peraza, goes to third on a wild pitch, scores on a ground out by Iribarren. That's the Reds' run. And Addison Russell plugged one down the third base line to plate a run for the Cubs. And Russell's RBI in the 7th inning made it 3-1, and that's where we are right now. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for Chicago. For the Reds, 1-4-0. 27,368 at Great American Ballpark tonight. De Los Santos will come in. He'll be the 3rd pitcher for the Reds. Josh Smith started 5+ innings, 3 hits, 2 runs charged against him. Cingrani pitched an inning and a third, gave up 2 hits, struck out 2, and gave up a run. Here's De Los Santos for his 5th appearance as a Red.
That would be Abel De Los Santos. The Reds picked him up off the waiver wire from the Washington Nationals in July. And he's only 23 years old, so he could be the kind of pitcher you really never know. I mean, he's been in the big leagues a little bit before for a cup of coffee, getting another cup here with the Reds in the end of the year. But, you know, a couple of years from now, he may end up being a big part of the bullpen. You have to take a shot on guys like that.
There's Javier Baez, who will pinch hit in the 9th spot for the Cubs. They've used Buchanan, Trevor Cahill, and Joe Smith in the 7th.
Good breaking ball.
Nasty breaking ball. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Baez, big power, big swing to go with it.
Yeah, this guy never gets cheated, does he?
No. Off the end of the bat, it'll stay in the park. A big swing, but right off the end of the bat, and there's 1 away.
That swing comes with a chiropractic treatment.
Javier Baez retired. Back to the top of the order, Dexter Fowler. 2 fly balls and a walk. You know, and you look ahead, Chris, we talk about the Reds starting rotation, and this weekend we'll talk about the rotation and the bullpen. But if you look ahead to 2017, you hope to have a more formidable bullpen from day one. Not, I mean, Brian Price said, I remember sitting down with him the day before the season started. He said, if we can get through the first couple of months, we think our bullpen will get back in shape once we get Lorenzen back. Once we get Iglesias back, and it took longer than that.
Well, they didn't know at that time that Iglesias was going to come back as a reliever. I mean, after all, Raisel Iglesias was your opening day starter because Anthony DeSclafani injured himself late in the month of March. So I think the Reds knew going into the season that this was not going to be a very good bullpen. And they didn't think it was going to be a good year overall. So they didn't put the resources there. So they saved some money, and they evidently have more resources to spend on it next year.
That's down low. 3 balls, no strikes. And the other part of it, and we've talked often about it, I mean, they started, when you have an Aroldis Chapman as your left-handed closer that can get anybody out. This year they only had 1 left-hander in Cingrani. Next year you would hope they'd have 2, maybe 3 left-handers in that bullpen.
I like balanced bullpens.
Speaking as a left-hander.
Well, I mean, just look around the teams that are going to the postseason and tell me about the makeup of their bullpen. And most of them have a couple of left-handers at least down there. I know Tony La Russa was always a fan of having 3. Because if you only have 1, you never really know when you're going to when you want to burn them. And usually you burn them out.
Here's Bryant. Chris up for the 4th time, 2 fly ball outs, and then a fielder's choice that plated a run. De Los Santos checks the runner over at first. 1 out, 1 on. With Baez pinch hitting, Justin Grimm loosening in the bullpen for the Cubs. I mean, the year that Bryant has had definitely stamps him as an MVP candidate. 39 homers, now 102 runs knocked in. Rizzo, 32 homers, 106 knocked in. And we put Daniel Murphy on that list, who is really the heart and soul of a resurgence in Washington this year. Hit hard into left, base hit. So 2 on, 1 out. And that'll bring up Rizzo. And don't forget, every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, weekdays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 a.m. Pacific on FS1. You know, the other side of that, we talked a little bit about it the other day when we were in Milwaukee. Very often when you have two quality players like Rizzo at the plate and Bryant, both MVP candidates, I mean, they may take votes from each other when voting time comes among the Baseball Writers Association of America representatives who will vote around the country.
Yeah, I just don't see Rizzo garnering that many votes. I really don't. I think that, you know, even with the strikeouts, Bryant has had a better year, and I think that, you know, it's probably going to come down. I think Nolan Arenado is going to get a lot of votes.
Sure.
Corey Seager is going to get some votes for MVP.
From the stretch, De Los Santos. Now we talk about Adam Duvall hasn't changed a lick. I mean, I've known Chris Bryant since he was in college, and I was fortunate to be with him in his run for the Golden Spikes Award. That young man hasn't changed a lick either. I mean, he's just as personable, as unassuming, a good teammate. You can see why he and Rizzo have linked up with each other as close friends on the ball club. They're both out of the same mold. That'll kick away under the legs of the catcher Barnhart, and both runners will advance. So second and third now. It's a pass ball charged to Barnhart.
Well, while we're talking about Chris Bryant, you know, Bryant was the second pick of the draft in 2013. So that's exactly where the Reds picked this year when they picked up Senzel from the University of Tennessee, and they hope that down the road that, you know, your second pick of everybody in the draft turns out to be anywhere close to be as good as Chris Bryant. You've hit a home run there.
Literally.
Yeah.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Rizzo. Infield in for the Reds, and nipping at the outside corner is De Los Santos. He misses. Will go full 3-2.
Now I know there are people out there saying, all right, well, if Bryant was a second pick, who was the first pick that year? And it was a high school. It was actually Mark Apple, right-handed pitcher, went with the Houston Astros.
Mark Appel, who's been injured a good part of the time too.
Has never made it to the major leagues.
3-2 to Rizzo. That's over the leaping effort of Votto into right. A base hit. They're going to send the runner from third. Here comes the throw. Won't be in time. And Rizzo dials up 2 more. He now has 108 runs batted in on the season. And the Cubs lead at 5-1.
Now the wild pitch causes the extra run to come in. Bryant shows you there, if you were here at the ballpark, and maybe we can show him running, he shows you the other part of the game that really doesn't get a lot of credit, but he is a plus runner. He's one of the best base runners in the league this year, and he will be for year in and year out as long as he stays healthy. Not only can he run fast, but he reads the ball well, and that's why they sent him right there to score easily on that base hit.
So Rizzo knocks in 2. It's 5-1, and here comes Zobrist. Ben bounced out, homered to lead off the 5th, and doubled in the 7th, and later scored. On the corner for a strike. Ross Ohlendorf has started to loosen in the bullpen for the Reds. See Teddy Power behind him, and again, if you joined us late, Brian Price back as the manager for 2017, and the entire coaching staff also scheduled to be back for 2017, including Ted Power in the bullpen.
Well, they've been offered contracts, and that's normally what they do at the end. They say, all right, well, we want you back, and here's the deal that we're willing to do for you. It's up to you whether you want to come back or not. Now, there may be a couple of coaches that can get, you know, an opportunity somewhere else that they'd rather pursue. but I kind of doubt that. I feel like, you know, knowing these guys on this coaching staff, that, you know, they're very loyal to the Reds. They're very loyal to Brian Price, and they'll probably every one of them be back. I would be surprised if nobody did come back.
You know, Chris, the other
one decided otherwise.
The other part of that, as you look at Mac Jenkins, the pitching coach, Jim Riggleman, Brian Price, the other part of that, just like Brian Price, they're invested in this team that's took its lumps this year and last year, and they want to, as Brian said, if you missed our interview with him earlier, he said you want to be there for the rebuild. There's Freddie Benavides, but you want to be there when the rebuild is complete too. You put your work and hard effort in. You want to be there when it comes together. Billy Hatcher in that same list.
Well, if it doesn't come together next year, the evaluation process will be a little different.
This one high in the air, deep to right. That will be 4 rows gone. What a night for Ben Zobrist. It's the 39th home run against the Reds. For Zobrist, 2 homers, now 17. 2 more runs knocked in, and it's 7-1 Cubs.
Well, I guess Zobrist was tired of being called a cleanup hitter with no power.
He's fueled this lineup tonight. Four rows deep around Tripper, and the end result, the Cubs lead at 7-1. And out comes Brian Price with Ollendorf loosening. That'll be it for De Los Santos. So he doesn't last an inning. He goes 1/3 of an inning here in the 8th. While the pitching change take place, we'll take time out for these messages. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. The season ends on Sunday. The countdown for face-off for the Columbus Blue Jackets, opening night in 13 days. It's underway. The puck drops on the new season. Just about 2 weeks away for the Blue Jackets hockey on Fox Sports Ohio. Countdown to face-off presented by Wendy's. Here's Ross Ollendorf will take over. Ollendorf follows Josh Smith. Very successful 5+ innings, 3 hits, charged with 2 runs. Cingrani an inning and a third. De Los Santos a third of an inning. And here's Ross Ollendorf. 63 appearances in a role, Chris, where he's gone from long man to middle man to setup man to closer.
I think he did close a few games earlier this year. That's how in flux that Reds bullpen was, that there were no defined roles for anybody. Every time Brian Price tried to tell somebody, all right, you're going to be the 8th inning guy and you're going to be the closer and so on, they'd blow up and not be able to hold down their job. So it was certainly a work in progress for the first 3 months of the season at least.
Here's Addison Russell, line to center, popped to short, and doubled in a run in the 7th. The run batted in is 95th of the year. By the way, that home run by Zobrist here in the 8th inning is the 100th home run that the Reds bullpen has given up. How many have the Cubs given up? 54. Almost twice as many home runs allowed by the bullpen than the Cubs have. Two balls, one strike. Fastball, top of the strike zone in there. Hayward, pop to the first baseman, bounce back to the pitcher and fly to right.
The Reds lead the league in two very dubious categories.
This one looped into right. Selsky there got it, 2 away.
One is the most home runs given up, and we just talked about that. The other is the other thing that managers cannot manage around, which are base on balls. I mean, they have given up, coming into this ball game, 620 base on balls. The next team in line is the Arizona Diamondbacks, so that tells you what kind of company you're keeping.
And the other side of it is that's about, I don't know, 200 more than the Cubs.
Well, 200 more than the Mets anyway.
Yeah.
Very close to 200 more. The Cubs are, 486. So they're a good 140 or so behind you.
Here's Addison Russell.
At this rate, they'll never catch you.
Ollendorf from the stretch with 2 away. Great to have you with us, George Grant, Chris Welch, Jim Day. JD will be checking in with us very shortly as we count down the most memorable moments and plays of this 2016 season. Crowd of over 27,000 on hand here at Great American Ballpark tonight. Many of them Cubs fans who got their tickets early in the year, hoping that they'd see the Cubs clinch. Fortunately, they're not clinching here, but there's a whole contingent of Cubs fans here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them here. It'll be interesting. We just saw Jason Hayward go for 4 here with that fly ball to right field. I'm wondering how much playing time he's going to get in the playoffs. Joe Maddon has stuck with him all year long. They signed him to a big-time deal. They've got him for the next few years, or at least his salary. But he's only had 1 month where he's bat over 220. And that's when he batted, or excuse me, he batted 224 in April. Then he had a good month in June when he batted 257. But his power outage has been there all year long. He's batting his worst month ever in the month of September. And he's a quality outfielder, and he plays hard, and he's as good defensively as you will find out there. He's just running into some really tough time. But are the playoffs a time when you don't worry about hurting feelings and you're putting a lineup out there to take advantage of your best chance to win?
I think you're right. I think when you hit October, it's a whole new world. I think right now he's hopeful that by playing him, he'll catch fire. I mean, if he catches fire, you can forget about the whole year. If he has a big October, all of a sudden they're going to love him in Chicago.
And he's capable of doing that.
Here's Coughlin. 0 for 3, 2 fly balls and a ground out.
But he's only has 2 games to catch on fire because he didn't catch fire tonight. Did not even a spark. So you got tomorrow and you have Sunday, and if he doesn't have 2 good days then, what does Joe Maddon do next Friday, a week from today, when they play their first game in Chicago in the playoffs?
Well, the one thing that Joe Maddon has made clear is that he'll put the best lineup out there that he feels will win on any given night. By the way, the word from Ron Roth, the official scorer, is that the pass ball has now been changed to a wild pitch, the one that skipped in the dirt past Barnhart. So not a pass ball, a wild pitch that allowed the 2 runners to advance. Barnhart will tell you he should have blocked it, but it did hit dirt. Waved at by Coughlin. He's saying
foul ball.
Nice try.
Not in this game.
This time. Another look at the final out of the inning. A big home run from Zobrist, his second of the night. The Cubs now lead at 7-1.
Back to June 30th, 2005. The Cubs played a 1-1 tie yesterday because of rain. The last time it happened in the big leagues, right here. Adam Dunn, an RBI walk. And then Ken Griffey Jr. It's just nice to see that swing again. RBI hit right here. Tied the game at 2, and then the rains came. A game in which they never resumed and never made up. It ended up as a 2-2 tie. Last time it happened prior to yesterday when the Cubs and Pirates played to a 1-1 tie.
Another page turner from Jim Day, and here's a page turner for the Reds. Here to lead off the bottom of the 8th is Patrick Kivlehan, who just was picked up on waivers by the Reds. Patrick just got completed playing for the Padres organization in the AAA World Series down in Memphis, where he played for the El Paso Chihuahuas, an outstanding contributor to their year. Broken bat down to short. It'll be tossed out first out of the 8th inning. Kivlehan, much like Tyler Holt last year. Holt was playing for Columbus last year, made it to the AAA World Series. The Reds signed him after the AAA World Series was completed, and he ended up coming right up to the Reds. Kivlehan, who's played third, played first, played the outfield. Solid guy, outstanding football player. Jim Riggleman, a great athlete at Frostburg State. Kivlehan, a great athlete at Rutgers. And after leaving football behind his senior year, was a walk-on for baseball, eventually drafted. Outstanding athlete, was the Triple Crown winner, player of the year in the Big East his senior year. But it shows you never know. Here he was in the San Diego organization, looked like he'd be in a San Diego Padre uniform. Shows up at the AAA World Series, and a week later he's in the major leagues with the Reds.
Nice young man. Got to talk to him a little bit before the ball game, George, and I told him, you know, the Reds have to have a Rutgers guy in the clubhouse at all times, and maybe that was missing here without Todd Frazier around.
Here's a swing by Selski, popped up and out of play. By the way, Todd Frazier sends his best. We texted back and forth today. Frazier, congratulations, Chris. 40 homers on the year.
Yeah.
That's a big year for a power
I think it's only Todd Frazier and Jim Tomei that have hit 40 home runs in their first year as a Chicago White Sox player.
I think Bill Melton came within one. He had 38 or 39 one year, but I think you're right. Big Jim.
Boy, you have a good memory.
Something, you know, if we were only this smart in school. If we had your daughter Carrie was just here. If we only had her brains, right? Swing and a miss. Selski's retired. Selski's retired. That's the second out. Back to the top of the order, Peraza. Jose tonight bounced out, lined out, doubled in the 6th, and later scored the Reds' run. No balls, one strike to the Red shortstop for tonight. Grimm delivers, missing down low. Jake Buchanan started 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Trevor Cahill gave up a run in an inning of work. Joe Smith. And here in the 8th, it's Grimm. Now, the great equalizer, you talk about the bullpen that this Cubs team has, Chris, and I think it certainly changed the dimension of this club when they got Aroldis Chapman. They went from a pretty good bullpen to a darn good bullpen.
Well, that's what Chapman will do for you. And that may be the other piece that, you know, a team like the Cubs, who were buyers at the deadline, knowing what they needed to kind of complete the puzzle. You know, I think any one of those three relievers that the Yankees were ready to deal at the deadline would have helped them out, but I think they're very happy that they got Chapman.
2 strikeouts in the inning for Grimm. Reds go 1-2-3, still trail 7-1. From the Queen City, Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio has been brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices, all at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Hey, Reds fans, catch all the action tomorrow for as low as $13 when your Redlegs take on the Cubs, thanks to Butterbee's American Grill. First 25,000 fans will receive a Team Cincinnati t-shirt. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com/tickets. Chris, great to see Joe Nuxall's son, Kim Nuxall, here in the Miracle Fields down in Fairfield tomorrow. They're going to unveil the latest in a series of great caricature prints of Nuxie. Should be a fun time as they wrap up the season. Well, those Miracle League fields, they've done such a tremendous job with them.
And the outpouring of community support up there has just been incredible. The caricature of Joe, you know, leaning over, I think the outfield wall out there. I mean, he did such a great job on that. The artist eludes me his name. We'll look it up, but it's a really great effort. It's something that Kim Nuxall has worked tirelessly on. Full support of the community. His wife Bonnie involved very deeply, and so many people that have had a hand in that. And that's at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning
at the Miracle League Fields in Fairfield.
Miracle League Fields in Fairfield.
Here's Matt McGill coming in to pitch for the Reds. Smith, Cingrani, De Los Santos, Ohlendorf, and now McGill here in the top of the 9th inning. Montero, then Baez, and then Matt Caesar in the leadoff spot. And the other part of the equation for the postseason, you talk about this roster. You know, David Ross is going to be on it. Ross, one of the leaders of this ball club, and the guy who's been so much of an inspirational focal point of this roster. There's Rossi, the former Cincinnati Red. He said this year has been just a magic carpet ride. He, of course, got to catch his first no-hitter at the expense of the Reds. Arrieta's no-hitter, first of his career.
Well, that was a night to forget.
Yeah. The only good part of it was the fact he was a part of it.
Yeah, and it was a no-hitter. I mean,
ugly.
If it was a 16-0 one-hitter,
yeah,
you really would want to forget about it.
That's a walk. Montero takes the free pass to start the top of the 9th inning. And don't forget, get ready for Reds action 30 minutes before every game on Fox Sports Ohio with all the info you need for that game with Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And as always, our crew will keep you up to date on what's going on. Tomorrow, Tim Adelman will get to start his 13th start. Try to even his record at 500. He comes in 3-4. And speaking of the personal catcher for John Lester, that's David Ross. John Lester will get the start for the Cubs. You know, there's another name to talk about, Chris. Tim Adelman has shown you he can be a starter. Might he be fit perfectly as a long man in this bullpen if he doesn't start next year?
You know, those are the decisions that they will end up making. But going into the spring, at least looking at it right now, there seems to be more candidates that are secure in jobs than last year at this time. I mean, you now know that Brandon Finnegan can pitch and pitch very well as a major league starter. You know that Anthony DeSclafani, when he stays healthy, can be really solid out there. You know, you don't know about Homer Bailey until he actually comes back and pitches. You just don't know what that arm's going to have in store. The majority of pitchers that have Tommy John surgery come back with no problem, but not everybody.
In the dirt to Baez. Runner holds at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes. To the second baseman for the Cubs.
And you still have some young players that we haven't seen a whole lot of that we like to see more of. You know, Cody Reed had a rough time. Doesn't mean he's going to have a rough time next time through. We've not seen anything of Amir Garrett. He's a young left-hander that they say who can be electric.
McGill on to second, over to first. They'll turn 2. Good job. Nicely started by McGill in a 1-4-3 double play.
McGill does the right thing right here, and he delivers a perfect strike. He doesn't rush his throw. He just takes his time, throws it right chest high, right to the second baseman covering. And that's the way you start a double play ball.
There's another guy, Chris, that you didn't get a good look at this year because of injury. Finally, he's back. You know, might he be a part of this mix next year too?
I think you put a lot of these guys right there. I think that they're going to find themselves in this spot. There are a lot of right-handed pitchers out there that throw 93 miles an hour. So if you're Matt McGill, you ask yourself, how do I separate myself from these other guys? The way that Tim Adelman was able to do that this year and become a fairly consistent starter. I mean, they're not going to just hand a starting job to one of these guys just because they had a couple of good starts here, you know, late in the year. Ouch.
Broken bat to Matt Caesar. He'll pop out to the second baseman. That'll do it. Last roundup for the Reds, and they rally against the Cubs. October. The NLDS starts October the 7th on FS1. The postseason drive started here tonight for Ben Zobrist. Tonight's Volkswagen drive of the game, not one but two big swings from Zobrist. The first came to lead off the 5th, made it 1-0 Cubs, his 16th homer of the year. Then in the 8th inning, he made it 7-1 with this blast, throwing a double too. So 2 homers and a double. On the night, 3 runs batted in. That's 75 runs batted in and 17 homers for Ben Zobrist. Our Volkswagen drives of the game from the second baseman. Here's Carl Edwards Jr., who will become the 5th pitcher of the night for the Cubs. Buchanan, Cahill, Smith, Grimm, and now Carl Edwards Jr., his 35th appearance of the season. As we go to the 9th, Hernan Iribarren will lead it off, hitting in the 2nd spot. He singled in the 1st and grounded out in the 6th that plated the 1 run the Reds have. It followed a double by Peraza, and then Peraza went to 3rd on a wild pitch. So here's Hernan. Down and in for a ball. 2-0. Great to have you with us. George Grant, Chris Welsh, Jim Day, Josh Hall, our producer down in the truck. Ryan Filippetti, our director, Matt Sigeth, who's dialing up some highlights, and Jim Miller with the graphics for this weekend. As usual, the pre and post game guys keeping us up to date on everything. Before the game, Brian Giesenslaw and Jeff Picorro. That slapped down the left field line and out of play. And all season long, and Chris, you were at a lot of the games. I was at some of the games. I was home watching those late night West Coast games when Kent Dreamweaver and Ron Millinor and the guys kept Reds fans on top of everything for some late night post games. Last night was a good example of hustling at the end to try to make sense out of a crazy ending to that game in St. Louis.
You know, they did a good job on that too. But you know, I originally gave the wrong interpretation of the rules between the time that we went off the air, where we didn't know what was going on, until the 30 seconds later when we went on in the postgame show. I tried to Google up the local rules at Busch Stadium, and I came up with a photograph and some rules, and when I first read it, the way it was written fooled me into thinking that it was definitely going to be a ball in play.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. The ball gets away, and safe at first will be Iribarren. So it's a strikeout and a wild pitch.
So when I was corrected on that, I went over and I talked to the Cardinals announcers, and Dan McLaughlin and Ricky Horton both agreed and said, you know, that signage that is behind the outfield wall actually sets back behind the wall several feet. So that's a dead ball area. So anything that hits off that on a fly is a home run. If it bounces off that, it will be a ground rule double.
There's Joey 0 for 3.
But the guys in the studio did a good job deciphering everything, all the way down to the timing of how long it took the Reds to figure out that they should go down and chase the umpires down. It was the night that a lot of people looked at that game from all around baseball.
Yes. In fact, Walt Jocketty, the Reds general manager, talked to Joe Garagiola in the New York offices today to try to make sense of it too. And the bottom line, even the umpires are wrong, because Bill Miller, the umpire, said, you know, he expected to hear within 10 seconds a signal from Brian Price that he would challenge, and then you give him 30 seconds. As it turns out, it's identified as an immediate,
correct,
not a 10-second wait, an immediate signal at the end of a game. This one hit pretty good to center field, going back at the wall, gonna be gone. Number 29 for Joey. Put 2 more on the board. Now 94 runs batted in on the season, and Votto continues a remarkable second half. That game last night saw him get plunked on the chin, suffer 7 stitches to his chin, but still in the lineup again today with this big swing, Chris.
Well, Votto was extremely angry after he made an out his last time up. Hit a ground ball to the first baseman, And he was looking at an 0 for 4 night until he got that pitch from Carl Edwards Jr. and drives it straight out the front door. Might say he jumped all over that cheeseburger.
Swing by Duvall and a miss. We'll write that one down in the book. You know, Pete Rose always said it, if you get 1 hit you want 2, if you get 2 hits you want 3, and never give away an at bat. And there's no player in the game today that lives by that philosophy better than Joey Votto. If he has no hits, he never gives away an at bat. Some hitters will give it up when they were 0 for 3 and in the doldrums. Not number 19. Swing and a miss. Duvall retired. 0 for 4 for him tonight. So the Reds are within 4, trying to find a way to rally here in the ninth. It's Eugenio Suarez. Popped up and struck out twice. Boy, and Edwards fell awkwardly on the mound. Is he okay? Montero's asking him if he is. It looked like he'd slipped out. The leg slipped out from under him. That left foot, his plant foot, hit his heel and it just slipped out from under him. Baez will come in and check on him. On the inside corner for a strike. Ivan De Jesus Jr. on deck. Breaking ball misses. 2-1. Tim Adelman against John Lester tomorrow. That's a 4:10 start. We'll be on the air with Reds Live at 3:30, and then on Sunday it's Robert Stevenson against Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks trying to win his 17th. He could be the Cy Young Award winner in the National League. And that is an early start, a 3:10 start, so Reds Live at 2:30. Fly ball to center. Hauled in. So 2 away here in the ninth, and here comes Ivan De Jesus Jr.
Boy, De Jesus having really a very good night. On base 3 times, a couple of base hits. He's hit the ball hard. And he has brought that batting average up to just around 250. He may be sitting at home thinking, well, big deal. But I mean, this guy was batting in the 100s, you know, the first couple of months of the season. Just couldn't buy a hit. And he just never gave up.
He was the Reds' most frequently used pinch hitter for most of the year. He and Holt, in a year when the Reds didn't really have, other than Cabrera as a switch hitting catcher, a left-handed pinch hitter. So often they would end up showing up against end of the rotation right-handers with tough at bats. He's had 32 at bats as a pinch hitter. Holt 34 going into tonight. And he's right around 200 at bats for the season. Whitey Herzog, I remember he told me once, he said, my job as a manager in the National League is to get my bench players 250 at bats or more, which is tough to do. But that means you double switch them into a game once or twice, you pinch hit them, you start them here or there. And in the National League, if you don't do that,
you wear your guys out.
And you don't give your bench guys enough at bats. 3-2 to Ivan. Into right field. And that will do it. Caesar hauls it in. 2.5 hours of baseball, 2:39 to be exact. Rizzo and company will put this one in their back pocket. Their 102nd win of the season. For the Cubs, a 7-3 victory. 7 runs, 8 hits, no errors. 3 left on base for the Cubs. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors. 3 left on base for the Reds. Coming up next, the post-game show on Fox Sports Ohio.